Okay, hi. Okay, this is going to be a quick video about drawing a singular rounding on so rounding a sort of square block shape. So I'm just going to draw a simple rectangular shape. I'm actually going to start with a rectangular plane, like a top plane. Oops. And so what I want to do is I want to draw here on the corners. I want to round them a bit like an iPhone or something. So in constructional type drawing, it's really important that you know where your roundings start and where they end. So these construction lines actually give you, the reader of the sketch, information, and they help you draw a convincing sketch. So once I've got this basic plane and I've defined these square shapes on the corners, and I've lined them out here, so draw these lines through. What I can do is I can extrude this shape up or down, and I'm going to do that now. Just for this to start with, I think it's handy to construct it this way. So I'll make it a little bit thicker than an iPhone would be, just so we can see what's happening. So I've got the basic construction, and then I'm going to draw these lines up, so extruding upwards. Remember, vertical lines can stay pretty much vertical in a two-point perspective sketch. And that one's also lining out that way. So then I'm going to go back this way again. And now I'm just lining these things out on the top plane. So just lightly lining things out, and just always check again if these square shapes which we drew here have stayed pretty much square. Okay, so that's fairly light. I hope you can see it in the video. What I'll do is I'll just darken these a little bit so we can see the vertical. So this is basically where the rounding is going to start, and this is where the space where the rounding is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer to, if I've got a circle, and so what I basically want is I want a quarter of a circle at each one of these corners. So I want one of those here and there, and each one of these corners I want a quarter. Now if I draw a square around this circle and I measure this diagonal, what you'll find is that the curve is going to go through a point that's just a fraction less than a quarter of this distance. So if I see that's the half, I half this distance again to here, and you'll see that the curve goes through just a little bit before that quarter line. We call it a small third. So I'm going to use this because it also works in perspective. If I draw a small perspective square plane here and I divide that this way, I can just see where my curves need to go through. So half, quarter is about there, just a bit back. So see, I get my, and I can curve it around this way, that's the diagonal, that's the half, that's a quarter, just a fraction back, and I can see. So this is a way you can draw a kind of a lumpy, but well in proportion with the plane, with the point of view, ellipse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that here on these corner planes. So I've got, start at the top plane, that's the diagonal. So I'm crossing that diagonally, finding the quarter point, just a fraction back, and then I'm going to go in a smooth curve around. That's half, quarter, about there, and then I'm going to go again in a hopefully a smooth curve. And what you'll see here on this one, you see how different those two curves are, but they're both actually in perspective the same. And those curves are really difficult to estimate, so you really do need to get a hang of it by doing this construction. Again, on this we've got a fairly sharp corner here, and on the back edge you'll see that it's really a much flatter curve. So once I've got that, I can basically, well, I can estimate now. If I draw these lines down, what you'll see is here, see we're missing an edge. This edge we call the outermost describing line. So it's this edge that's just the curve as you see it going down. We remember that vertical lines stay vertical, so what I'm really doing is I'm just pushing this across, and when I hit this curve, so this line stays straight, we'll just draw a line straight down, and then I'll draw another curve here. I have to do the same here. See that this is sticking out. I can't have this empty space here, so basically I'll draw another curve here. That's the outermost describing line, and then I'll draw another line here. On this edge you might want to actually measure it on the front one. Again, it's going to be a little bit more round than the top. Okay, this line was a little bit of a mistake. So there you have the basic construction of a singular rounding. This you can also do, of course, on a vertical plane. So if I draw a plane this way, and I draw a circle, define square shapes here, diagonal, diagonal, halfway, quarter, tiny friction back from a quarter, and then so you'll see here a halfway, quarter, little friction back, and that way. Okay, back on the other side if I want the same on the back. This and like this. Okay, I want to make it thicker. Remember the perspective directions. Straight here, rounding follows that curve, that way around, and I can use this direction now to define this curve. So very quickly I get a vertical. Okay, I'll leave it at that, and we'll just colour it in the next video.